Hello, everyone. Welcome to this special edition of the Jim Kleiber Show. Today is Saturday, November 7th. It's the weekend. It's 2020. And the election for president is over. Joe Biden has been declared the president of the United States. He won. He's been projected to win in Pennsylvania and also in Nevada, and some places have called him for Arizona as well. I feel relieved. Not that I think that Biden will have the perfect or best policies. Just relieved. And I think Van Jones said it well. Just not going to sleep fearing what the president will tweet the next day and how that may take the country in a different direction. Not being addicted to the phone and being addicted to the news just to make sure we haven't started a war with North Korea or we haven't started a war with our allies in Germany, or that we haven't just ridiculous thing after ridiculous thing, just the unpredictability of it all. I don't know what Joe Biden's policies will be, but I imagine he will be calmer and more predictable. I think Van Jones said it well as well. He said, with George Floyd, a lot of people were saying, I can't breathe. I think a lot of us haven't been able to breathe for the last 4 years. Again, not because of the policies, just because not knowing what our leader will say to us, to other leaders of the world. Just a relief. Somebody says Biden's just a Trojan horse for Harris. I still feel relieved when I think about that. We in the United States have elected our first woman, African American, Indian American vice president. Regardless of policies, it's a big thing. Because I strongly believe that the presidency is not just about policy. It's also about inspiration. And for those little girls around the world, and I mean around the world, not just here in the United States, it says that they can do it, they can make it. And not only that they can do it and they can make it, but people want them to. 70-something million people in this country want them to lead. Want them to make decisions on their behalf. And then Biden. Biden inspires so many people. As Van Jones said again, that character matters. That how we interact with each other matters. It's not just about the end result. This is not just a winner-take-all, zero-sum game and we can screw everyone else. It matters how we play the game. Sportsmanship matters. I played a lot of sports growing up. And I would get so angry at the people who would play by the rules but wouldn't. They're the ones who, when the refs weren't looking, would take a cheap shot here and there. Even if they were on my team, I didn't like this behavior. I liked picking people up when they fell down, even if they were on the other team. And it inspires me that we elected a president who does that. I've put so much pressure on myself over the last 4 years to do more to try to change what's going on in this country. And I've been a person that's traveled and lived outside the country a lot. And so I was so stressed and so angry at myself for not doing more, because I thought we were going in a direction where we were just going towards more and more and more division and more anger and more resentment and hatred towards each other. And this just gives me some hope that we're going in the right direction. And some people will say that they can't trust Biden and they can't trust Harris or this. I have a very good feeling that their policies and the way that they're going to lead this country are going to help almost all of us in a much better way, in a much more sustainable and wholesome way. Someone comments, I will say this, don't pitch your hope in humans or this country. And I'll tell you, for much of the last 4 years, I haven't. And I felt miserable. I felt miserable thinking that the people around me didn't know what to do, or they weren't strong enough, or they didn't have the courage, or they just didn't understand what was going on. Or I just feel relief. Just feel relief that they got it, that they can take care of this. The people who know what they're doing are at the helm. That they're going to focus more on governing the country than the ratings numbers that they get from the population. That they're going to focus more on internal memos and less on tweets. That they're going to focus more on the challenges that every American faces, not just the ones that wear the red cap. Four years ago, almost to the day, it was November 15th, 2016. Actually, it may have been November 7th, 4 years ago. I'm not sure. The day after Trump got elected, I started to research and try to figure out why or how he got elected. And I went down this quick rabbit hole of how campaign manager and person this and person that may have been involved with Twitter bots and Cambridge Analytica and even oligarchs and the Russian government, Russian or Ukrainian oligarchs and the Russian government. And ever since that day, I think I've been holding my breath. Just hoping. And November 15th, 2016, I recorded a video after I did the research for one week. And I was talking about how much anger and hatred I was feeling towards these individuals for doing this to the country. Towards creating fake personas on the internet and fake Twitter bots and fake news stations, creating news channels out of nothing, with the intention of driving division and spreading stories that were true, semi-true, false, and semi-false, to seed doubt in the American public, to seed division and anger towards each other, planting stories as on both sides of far left, far right, Black Lives Matter, Blue Lives Matter, and really doing this for many years and building up this division in this country, amplifying the division Yes, we have division in the country. We always have. I mean, it's human nature to divide into tribes and to fight against each other in some ways. And but to amplify it is the problem that I have, instead of trying to resolve it. And so I gave a speech, and one of the things in there, and I was terrified. I was terrified because what I had seen is that some of the people who are doing research on this stuff seem to have been dying mysteriously of heart attacks and things. And I was scared. I was living in Los Angeles at the time, and there is plenty of, there's a large Russian population in Los Angeles, and I was scared that I was researching things that people didn't want me to know, and that nobody would believe me. So to think 4 years later that despite any efforts from foreign interference from the Russian government or the Chinese government or the Iranian government or who knows what government, Israeli government or whatever governments are out there that were trying to do it, and despite intentions or interference from people within the U.S. trying to drive deeper and deeper division, trying to split this country in multiple parts and multiple factions that hate each other, we elected a president who talks about healing the nation, who says that I want to lead on behalf of all the people, not just the people who voted for me, but the people who voted against me, because it is my responsibility as the leader of this country to care for every single human being in this country, whether they like me or not. And I think we're at a point in this country where this doesn't solve everything, you know? Biden coming in doesn't solve everything. There are a lot of people out there who think Biden's a puppet. There are a lot of people out there who think Trump's a puppet. There are a lot of people out there who think there's this massive cabal hidden behind the curtain that is controlling the whole world and making it all happen. And I think we need to work on that. Because when I see my friends in my family saying that they think that there's this deep, deep evil conspiracy all across the planet to overthrow and destroy the world without giving me much evidence, it makes me feel really worried. That they're in a position where they're not breathing, where they're feeling really stuck, where they're feeling really hopeless or helpless. I don't know. It's I haven't told many people this, and part of me wanted to wait until there was a large audience to share it, but in 2018 I traveled to Europe, and I was in Africa for a couple months. I think throughout the year I was like 6 months, like 3 months in Europe and then 3 months in Africa. And I came back feeling very convinced that I wanted to run for political office in the United States, and that in 2020 I was going to turn 35, and that would be the youngest age for me to do this, and I was going to run for the President of the United States. And I talked with friends of mine, and they were, like, my friends over in East Africa were excited, very excited, and joking around a little bit, and for sure not believing it would happen, but excited. My friends in the U.S., some of my very close friends, told me I was crazy. Told me I was absolutely crazy. And family members and things like this just rolled their eyes at me and said, why would you run if you will never win? You know you're not going to win, right? If I had the money, I would have run. I mean, it takes a lot of money to actually, you have to have a lot of money in the bank, or you have to have a previous job that paid enough money, or you have to have basically you have to have like strong income or a strong bank account to be able to do it. But I told them it didn't matter whether I won or not. It was about the message. It was about getting the message out that I think at this country we are struggling with emotional health. We are struggling with loneliness. We are struggling with trust. We are struggling with pain, with many things that we don't talk about in politics. We just talk about policy. We don't talk about emotions. We don't talk about how people are feeling. We don't talk about the sheer terror of waking up and checking your bank account every day to make sure that the money just didn't disappear, because if it did, you're done. Right? The people who are on the brink of suicide, who just, if one thing happens, they're done. They've already planned it out. They're just ready to go, just waiting for that little trigger to push them over the edge. We don't talk about the people who went off to war and came back home and are feeling so much pain inside, so much guilt that they survived and their friends didn't, so much anger at themselves for signing up to go to the military, perhaps, or so much anger at themselves for quitting, for getting out of the military, or so much anger at themselves for getting hurt and having to leave their teammates over on the battlefield. So maybe they survived because they got hurt and they came home, but their teammates didn't survive. And then they come back home and then we just talk about policy. Or the people who wake up, and as Van Jones said, don't know if their sister is going to be able to go to Walmart and come back safely, just hoping that she can go to Walmart and come back without getting asked or asked stupid questions or yelled at or confronted by the police. Or the people who, it's everything. The people who had a relative who's going through Alzheimer's and lived in the house with them, and to just watch their family member deteriorate. To watch a family member go through Parkinson's. To be there with someone who's struggling through cancer, not knowing what's going to happen. To be stuck in a house for months, terrified to leave because not wanting to interact with people and catch this invisible virus that can take out lives in weeks. I think for the first time in my life, we're not going to have Thanksgiving with my uncle's family. My mom just went through cancer and we're scared. We're scared that they may have not been taking the virus too seriously. That they may have likely been exposed, or they're more likely to get exposed than we are. We're scared. And it hurts so much. I think that's just where I feel so much relief. It's just about a president who wants to build consensus, who at least looks like he wants to build consensus, who doesn't announce that his, the own CDC department, the CDC says that they recommend masks, and then immediately afterwards says, oh, but it's voluntary. I'm not going to wear one. Like, immediately creates conflict with the organization that is underneath him. Immediately. And does it publicly. Creates that conflict. Instead of works with his team behind the scenes and tries to come up with a compromise and agreement so that they're on the same page when they communicate. I would hate to work on a team with someone like that. With someone who has the behaviors that says, "Oh yeah, we'll agree to one thing privately," but then one gets in front of the camera, says the exact opposite thing. Or maybe privately doesn't even agree to it and says, "Well, I don't care what you say. I'm just going to get in public and say what I want." You're the leader of a team. Act like you're a part of a team, not just this solo operator that can do whatever the hell he wants. Because those decisions, those communication decisions trickle down, whether you want them to or not. People look up to you and respect you whether you want them to or not, whether you think they do or not. People listen to you, they emulate. Even people who don't like you mimic your talk. I can't tell you how many people right after Trump got elected would say, "Oh, sad." Like, stop mimicking the way that he's speaking. If you don't like this man, why are you communicating the way in which he does? Because we respect authority. We respect the office. So many of us do. Use it to bring people together. Don't use it to divide people. Be the leader. Just because somebody punches you, don't punch back. Have the strength to restrain yourself. Have the strength, someone punches you, to give them a hug. Somebody has to lead. Somebody has to lead this country in a different direction. Somebody has to lead this country together. Somebody has to have the courage to stand up and say, "I don't care how you're going to behave. This is how I'm going to behave. You can punch me and shout at me and insult me and denigrate me all you want. I don't care. That's your choice. How I'm going to respond is I'm going to treat you with love and respect, and I'm going to try to be as honest as I possibly can with you about where I'm at and where I think this country needs to go. But I'm going to do it with love and respect." Instead of, "Oh, you poke me and I'm going to slash out at you and I'm going to say you're a horrible person. I'm going to put a nickname on front of you and I'm going to try to attack your character as much as, as verbally possible." Someone in the comments says, "You are a wonderful person, but I feel sorry for the pain the future will cause you." I appreciate you saying that. I'm starting to realize that when I feel a lot of pain, it means I care. The less pain that I feel, the less I seem to care about something, the less attached, the less invested I am in something. And so for many, a lot of time I've tried to not want to feel pain. I'm actually okay feeling the pain in some ways. It means I really, really, really care. I really care. We get tears when we're sad, but we also get tears when we're happy. We get tears when we're just so filled with emotion that our body doesn't seem to know what to do except just let it out through tears. We can cry because we're too angry. I'm excited as a person who deals with emotions and talks about communicating emotions. I feel so excited for a president who also seems to care about expressing, I'd say, a wide range of emotions. I think Biden, bar none, is much more comfortable expressing sadness than Donald Trump. I think Biden also, I think he's much more comfortable expressing anger than Obama was, which I think is healthy as well. I think he also laughs, expresses a little more joy than Trump does. I don't know. I look forward to him setting an example for how we're supposed to communicate. Because as much as people say communication doesn't matter, it's a soft skill, it's this, that, I strongly beg to differ. I think it's the foundation of how we as humans interact with each other. And we learn how to communicate from the people above us most of the time. As kids, we learn from our parents. Whether we want to or not, they teach us the language. And as adults, we still look up to our authority figures on how to communicate in many ways, whether we want to or not. And I'm excited for a different style of communication coming from the President of the United States. Perhaps it's a return to the old style of communication, a more traditional style of communication, but I don't think so. I think there's an element of that, but I think Biden brings something special to the office right now, and to the country, and to the world. And that's a person who has spent a lot of time learning and practicing how to communicate around grief and around healing and around deeper, sadder emotional topics. Who seems much more comfortable communicating about pain and loss and suffering. And I think so many people around the world are struggling with this. As the internet speeds up life, as we move faster and faster, we lose things a lot. People disappear. People stop talking to us. We lose their email and we no longer have any contact form with them. People just disappear. People, again, it's just people move because it's easier to move. People travel and they go away and we never see them. Or it's just so much change, so much loss that we're experiencing these days. And I guess I just feel relieved and hopeful that we elected someone who speaks to that. Because now I don't feel regret that I didn't run. I don't feel regret that I didn't do enough. I just feel relief that I don't have to pay attention to what's going on in politics as much. That politics may not be injected into everything that we do. That I don't have to talk about Trump, or I don't feel compelled to talk about Trump with almost every single person. That he is not, and his behaviors rather, that his behaviors are not the thing that brings communication or brings conversation with me and the people I care about. Oh, just a collective relief. I was just thinking, who's he going to appoint to the cabinet positions? Oh, so much relief. So much relief. I don't know. I don't know what will happen in terms of the policies, in terms of the outcomes and the results of those policies. I don't think any president is fully responsible for them. I think you have the Congress, right, who's the ones who actually write the policies and the laws. I'm just excited to have a coach that seems to want to bring the team together. I'm just excited for a coach who's going to build a team that is probably going to have all-stars from many different parts of the country, from many different backgrounds, economically, socially, geographically, party-wise. I'm excited to see what that team comes up with, to build a coalition that's going to help people across this country and people across the world. I can't tell you how many of my friends are excited in other countries that Trump is no longer going to be president. Some people think that, some people overseas like Trump, but a lot of my friends are just, I think again, it's that almost tired of being addicted to him, tired of being addicted to the variable rate ratio. Is that what they call it? Variable rate rewards. This idea from slot machines and gambling where you can't give somebody a predictable reward or a predictable punishment because if we can predict how often it will happen, maybe 1 out of 10 times, if it happens every 1 out of 10 times, we get bored. And so mixing it up, okay, maybe 1 out of 2 tweets, or maybe 1 out of 10 tweets, or maybe 1 out of 100 tweets, or maybe once a day, or maybe once a week, or he'll say something that will inflame relations. And so we get addicted. We're just pulling on the slot machine of hate and just wondering what will happen. And I'm excited for that temptation, for that temptation to pull the slot machine and see which relationship he's going to destroy today won't necessarily be there. The media don't have to cover him if he's not the president. Even Twitter will have different rules for him if Trump's not the president. Just one collective exhale. I think that sums up at least, 51% of the nation. And I'm curious whether some people who did vote for him actually might feel an exhale. Maybe they liked him for his policies, but they might be relieved that he's not yapping on Twitter all the time. Man. I mean, I talked to a lot of people, I think, who supported him, and most of them said, we don't like how he tweets. We just like what he's done for me, like the tax rebate, or the tax refund, or the tax incentives, or certain other policies, typically related to economics, but other things as well. And yeah, just relief. I appreciate you all listening to this. I needed to get it out. And I think sometimes in these lonely times, sitting in our houses, even if we live with other people, we're mostly seeing just those people and not other people. And sometimes not everyone wants to talk about what we want to talk about. And so I'm just really grateful to have this audience, even if it's just me speaking in the microphone. Just really grateful to have this space to express what I'm feeling. And to know that there are people out there who are feeling something very similar. And just know that this feeling of that I don't have to save the world, we'll figure it out. To just have patience and hope. Because the thing with hope is that it takes time. It's not a fast thing. Hope is a long-term solution, long-term practice. Looking out far into the horizon and just hoping that in the end, it's all going to work out. So, it's the weekend. I'm going to go relax, have a big exhale, go outside, soak up this beautiful weather that we're having here in Michigan, and yeah, just feel a bit more free from the unpredictable ramblings of Donald Trump as President of the United States. So I want to end by congratulating Joe Biden and congratulating Kamala Harris and congratulating the United States, because there's so many people around the world who admire our ability to select presidents, our ability to conduct free and fair elections, and the dedication that so many of us have to the process. It's a messy process, but we came out and we voted and we're engaged and we care. And just let you know that so many people around the world admire that fact about us. and just wish they could have it as well. So let's continue to lead and show the world new possibilities of unity, of people coming together, of people resolving conflict, of people mending the wounds that we've caused each other. And I think if we do that, if we take the lead, others will follow. They're looking to us for leadership. They're looking to us for solutions. They're looking to us for hope. This belief that in the end, everything will work out, will be okay. At times I don't believe it, but at times I do. And this is one of those times. I bet I believe it. Anyways, y'all. Thanks for joining, and take care, y'all.